What's up, Airsofters? Norseman back, and we are here in the world of Airsoft, and today we're talking about my personal sidearm and the very first pistol I ever bought, which is the ASG manufactured licensed STI Duty 1. Now this is a $60 non-blowback CO2 pistol I purchased over 2 years ago, and I have used in every single game, or at least carried, and not necessarily used, but carried in every single game of Airsoft I've played. Pistols are important to me because I'm either using a DMR like my M14 or my Barrett, or I'm using primarily machine guns, whether it's my SAW or my Crytek machine gun. Either way, I'm pretty much any field you go to, you're going to be required in a DMR or an LMG role to carry a pistol, and this is what I chose for my first pistol. Now, I love 1911s. I have 3 real ones, including a World War II one, so it was no question that I wanted a 1911 as my first airsoft pistol. But which one do you choose? Now, this is a non-blowback, like I said, and the reason I chose a non-blowback over a blowback is at the time I didn't know a lot about airsoft. This was literally the second thing I purchased after my mission, I bought my SAW and everything. It was my second purchase. I went with, for one, cost effectiveness. It is, like I said, right around $60. It is very inexpensive. Another good reason, another thing I went with was non-blowback, because at the time I didn't know a lot. So I wanted something very simple to use, simple to maintain, and I had a buddy who had a blowback 1911, and he complained about how fast it would go through CO2 cartridges. It would go through CO2 cartridge, about one every mag or two. So I wanted a non-blowback so that my CO2 cartridges last longer. And honestly, the blowback realism is not important to me at all. Not in a pistol or rifle. I could care less if it moves, you know. So that's why I chose a non-blowback. I chose the ASG due to its price and its realistic look. For those reasons only. I didn't know anything about ASG at the time or this particular 1911, but I made a great choice. It is about, with a 3.0, it chronos right around like 420-ish. It's rated with 2 O's at about 440 to about 500 FPS, so it is pretty high, but that's normal when you're using a CO2. Green gases and stuff are always lower, but this one's pretty high, so it shoots very hard and it shoots very far. Now, it does have a threaded barrel. It's got a rail, so it looks great. It's got an adjustable hop-up, uses Allen key on top of the barrel. That's honestly not very difficult to use at all. And then it functions exactly like a real 1911 would, and it looks very much like a real 1911. Sights are adjustable. Both front and rear can be adjusted. Just like a real 1911, you have fire and safe. It will not go on safe with the hammer forward, or I'm sorry, it will go on safe with the hammer forward, which is unlike real 1911, but that's okay. Mag is pretty small. Holds 16 rounds, which is more than a real 1911, but they are small magazines. The nice thing about them is they are $10 to buy new ones, which I bought a spare. But it is very easy to load and reload this pistol. It says online that it's, with one CO2 cartridge, is good for about 90 rounds per cylinder per CO2 cartridge, and I would say that's probably pretty accurate. I really didn't change this very often. I honestly changed it about once a month. I did not take it out after games. I just left it in there, and literally it was about once a month, once every month and a half that I would have to change it. And I don't care if it's bad for the seals. It was $60 and I've never had an issue with it. It shoots fantastic. I've had to use this pistol multiple times, so this is a really good buy for a reliable pistol. The good things about it, this, like I said, the CO2 cartridges last a long time. It does have a threaded barrel. The orange flash suppressor was very simple to take off. The threads are on the inside. I don't know if they're negative or positive. Never paid that much attention to them, but I did pop that off very simply and saw that there were threads. It's very high powered. People are going to know you're shooting them with this thing. And it is extremely easy to maintain. I mean, I literally have done virtually nothing to this thing in the 2.5 years or so I've had it, and it's always worked, never leaked, and performed very well for me. The bad, there are some bad with this gun. Excuse me. The back of the hand grip, the very first day I had this thing out on the field, this did come off and get lost, which sucked, but it's not the end of the world. Honestly, I've used it the whole time. The CO cartridge doesn't fall out once it's tight, so it's not anything to worry about. It was just an aesthetic back piece that covered up where you would put the CO2 cartridge in. You don't even really notice that it's missing. It's not like this thing recoils a lot in your hand and you need comfort. It's just gone. It fell out, I lost it, never to be found again, and I didn't care. I've continued to use it the whole time. The other bad is where you tighten the CO2 cartridge down here at the bottom was always kind of a pain in the butt. There wasn't a lot of room in here for my fingers, and it's not like I've got big hands. It was always kind of hard to tighten it down. Now you see, this is not what originally came with it. Now I've recently had it was a plastic flat piece that fit on here on the end of the screw to tighten it, and it broke off recently, unfortunately, and I've been trying to figure out a way to jury rig this to make that work. A keyring did not work when I was tightening it down. The keyring actually started to bend, and the CO2 cartridge just leaked in there because it didn't get tight enough, and I failed. So still working on getting that fixed, but if I'm unable to find a solution to replace that the piece that was on this screw to tighten the CO2 cartridge into the pistol, it's not a huge loss. Like I said, this is a $60 pistol. Hell, you lose this on the field, it's not like it's a $200 high Kappa or Beretta or Glock or anything. It's not over 100. It's under 100 bucks. It is one of the cheapest pistols you're going to find out there, and it works phenomenal. And I would highly recommend. You lose it, someone steals it, it breaks, whoop-de-doo, easily replace it. And pistols are not something you use a lot. 1911s always look good. This is a great looking 1911. Highly recommend it. Mags are $10. They hold 16 rounds. They feed very well. They are a little skinny. They don't really fit very well inside any kind of mag pouches, but I'm sure you could put them into the webbing or something like that. I'm sure there's solutions for that, but they load very well. I always use the speed loader on them. The function of this weapon is fantastic. It works great. Get it. I recommend it. 2, 3, 4 thumbs up, however many thumbs you got. The ASG STI Duty 1, great 1911 at $60. Thanks for watching. Play safe. Have fun.